Today topic of discussion is food poisoning. Food poisoning is an acute gastroenteritis caused by ingestion of food or drinks contaminated with either living bacteria or their toxin or inorganic chemical substance and poisons derived from plant and animals. So, food poisoning is acute gastroenteritis caused by ingestion of food and drinks contaminated with bacteria or their toxin, inorganic chemical substance and poison derived from plant and animals. There are two types of toxin. One is non-bacterial type of food poisoning. Second one is bacterial type of food poisoning. Non-bacterial type of food poisoning caused by chemicals such as arsenic. Arsenic present grains, fruits, vegetables due to absorption through soil and water. Then certain plants and seafoods. Seafoods, river, lake kind of food also. Then seafoods mainly. Then contamination of the food by chemicals such as fertilizer, pesticides, cadmium and mercury. So non-bacterial food poisoning caused by chemicals mainly arsenic. Then certain plant, seafoods, chemical contamination because of these fertilizer, pesticides, cadmium and mercury. Second type of food poisoning is bacterial. Bacterial food poisoning caused by ingestion of food contaminated by the living bacteria or the bacterial toxin. So bacterial toxin because of bacterium or that bacterial secreted toxin. So now we will discuss bacterial food poisoning one by one. First bacterium name is called as Salmonella. So Salmonella food poisoning. There is increasing incidence of this type of food poisoning. Increasing incidence of this type of food poisoning because of increase in sharing food, sharing feeding and increasing in international trade in human foods. A high incidence of that salmonellosis in farm animals. Wild distribution of prepared food causing agent, that Salmonella food poisoning causing agent, Salmonella typhimurium, Salmonella cholerae and Salmonella enteritis. So these three organisms mainly causing food poisoning: Salmonella typhimurium, Salmonella cholerae and Salmonella enteritis. What are the sources for Salmonella food poisoning? Salmonellosis is primarily a disease of the animals. So it is a primary disease of animals. Man get infection from that farm animals and poultry. So how primary infection in animal, how human get infection means through farm animals and poultry. Then through contaminated meat, milk and milk product, egg and egg product, rice, the rat and mice or another source. They are often heavily infected and contaminated the foodstuffs by their urine and feces. So contaminated foodstuff by rat and mice urine and feces. So these are the sources. Primary source animal, from animal to human get infection. Then contaminated meat, milk and milk product, egg and egg product, contaminated foodstuff by rat and mice urine and feces. Then incubation period 12 to 24 hours commonly. Incubation period of Salmonellosis 12 to 24 hours. Then mechanism of food poisoning. The causative agent on injection multiply in intestine and give rise acute enteritis and colitis. Enteritis means infection of intestine, small intestine. Colitis means infection in digestive tract. So these two region it will causes infection in small intestine, name is called enteritis. Infection in digestive tract, name is called as colitis. Then onset is generally sudden. It causes chills, fever symptoms. It causes chills, fever, nausea, vomiting, then profused watery diarrhea 2 to 3 days. Then mortality rate 1%. The Salmonella food poisoning causing mortality rate 1%. Then second bacterial food poisoning. Second bacteria name is called as Staphylococcus food poisoning. It is also common as Salmonella food poisoning. Here that causing agent coagulase positive Staphylococcus aureus. Enterotoxin of the sudden strain of coagulase positive Staphylococcus aureus. At least 5 different enterotoxin have been identified. So this Staphylococcus aureus, it is secreted toxin, that one only causing food poisoning. Toxin can be formed at optimum temperature 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. Then these toxin are heat stable, resistant at boiling for 30 minutes or more. Next, what are the sources? It is ubiquitous. It is ubiquitous in nature. Found in the found on the skin, nose, throat. There are common agent of that skin abscess, boil and pyrogenic infection in man and animals. So ubiquitous in nature, it is presented on our skin, nose and throat. Then it causes skin disease like pharyngeal, then pyrogenic infection of human and animals. Then cow suffering from mastitis. What is mastitis? Means painful infection in breast tissue. Mastitis responsible for outbreak of food poisoning involving the milk and milk product. So incubation period 1 to 6 hours. Then mechanism in bacteria, food bacteria have grown, then toxin remain in the food. After that organism have been died because of this toxin is heat resistant. So we will boiled means organism will die, but toxin is resistant. Action of this toxin directly on the intestine and central nervous system. Then what are the signs and symptoms? It causing vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramp. In severe cases, blood and mucus may appear. And then unlike Salmonella food poisoning and Staphylococcus food poisoning rarely causes fever. Rarely it causing fever. Then death is uncommon. Then third bacterium, botulism food poisoning. Botulism, Clostridium causing agent Clostridium botulinum A/B/E strain causing botulism food poisoning. Sources: that bacteria widely distributed in soil, dust and intestinal tract of animals. So where it is distributed? Soil, dust and intestinal tract of animals. Then this organism enter into that food in the form of spores. How it will enter? In the form of spore. Food responsible for that botulism. Then incubation period between 12 to 36 hours, because this organism enter into food in the spore form, so it will take 12 to 36 hours. Mechanism: under the suitable anaerobic condition, the toxin will be performed into that food. Under anaerobic condition, this toxin will performed into that food. It act on parasympathetic nerve system and gastrointestinal tract. So this toxin will act on parasympathetic nerve system and gastrointestinal tract. Then what are the signs and symptoms? Dysphagia, diplopia, then ptosis, then dysarthria, then flaring of vision, then muscle weakness, fever is generally absent. Death occur 4 to 8 days later due to respiratory or cardiac failure. Sometimes this food poisoning will causes death. When means respiratory and cardiac failure, that time it will causes death. Next, characteristic of botulism toxin. Botulism toxin is heat liable one. Food contaminated with the botulism toxin heated for 100 degrees Celsius for a few minutes are safe for the consumption. Then infant, it causes infant botulism. Next, bacterium, Clostridium perfringens food poisoning. It is less common type of food poisoning. Causing agent Clostridium perfringens welzi. Clostridium perfringens welzi. Sources: this organism have been found into that feces of humans, animals, soil, air and water. That majority of outbreak have been associated with the injection of that meat, then meal dishes and poultry. Then incubation period 6 to 24 hours. Mechanism of food poisoning: the spores are able to survive the survival on that cooking. If the food is not cooked proper, means this organism multiply and producing variety of toxin alpha and theta toxin. Spores are able to survive in cooking. If not cooking proper also, this organism multiply and producing alpha and theta toxin. Then what are the clinical symptoms? It causes diarrhea, abdominal pain, little or no fever, symptoms occurring 8 to 24 hours after the consumption of food. Nausea, vomiting are rare. Illness usually in the short duration. Recovery is rapid. No death have been reported because of Clostridium perfringens. Preventive method: cooking food just prior its consumption. Store the food by rapid and adequate cooling. Next organism, Bacillus cereus food poisoning. Bacillus cereus is aerobic spore-bearing motile gram-positive rod-shaped bacterium. It is ubiquitous in soil, in raw, dried and processed food. Then the spores can be survive cooking and germinate and multiply rapidly when the food is held at a favorable temperature. Then there are Bacillus cereus are excited in two forms: emetic form of food poisoning, then diarrheal form of food poisoning. Emetic form food poisoning, incubation period 1 to 6 hours. It is characterized predominantly in that upper gastrointestinal tract symptoms. So emetic form of food poisoning, incubation period 1 to 6 are this one predominantly presented in upper gastrointestinal tract symptoms. It will cause diarrheal form of food poisoning, incubation period 12 to 24 hours. It causes diarrhea, abdominal pain, nausea, little or no fever. So next one is diagnosis. Diagnosis can be confirmed by this isolation of organism 10 power 5 or more bacillus series of organism per gram of epidemiologically incriminated food. Then treatment is symptomatic. Then in different diagnostic investigation of food poisoning, secure complete list of the people involved and their history. So here we want to secure complete list of people involvement history. Then laboratory investigation, then blood for the antibodies, then environmental studies, then analysis of the data according to that descriptive method of time, place and person. Then this case control study may undertaken to establish that epidemiological association between illness and the intake of that particular food. So investigation of food poisoning, secure complete list of people, then laboratory investigation, animal experiment, blood test for antibody production, then environmental studies, analyzing data, time, place and person, then case studies. Then preventive and control method, food sanitation, meat inspection, then high standard of that personal hygiene among the individual engaged in handling, preparing, cooking of that food. Then food handler suffer from any diseases should be excluded from food handling. Then food handling technique, that is the time between the food preparation and the consumption of is short. Then sanitation of all work surface, utensil, equipment must be ensured. Food handler should be educated in matter of clean habit and personal hygiene. Important things: cook and eat food same day immediately is golden rules. So this video we discussed the food poisoning. Two types of food poisoning: non-bacterial food poisoning and bacterial food poisoning. We are discussing in bacterial food poisoning in detail. First organism Salmonella, caused by Salmonella typhimurium, Salmonella cholerae, then Salmonella enteritis. Sources: incubation period. Then mechanism: mortality 1%. Second bacterium Staphylococcus food poisoning. Here also causing agent, sources, what are the mechanism, then action of toxin, what are the signs and symptoms. Third bacterium Botulism, caused by Clostridium botulinum A, B and E strains. Then next organism is Clostridium perfringens, food poisoning, causing agent Clostridium perfringens. It producing alpha and theta toxin. And their clinical symptoms: next organism Bacillus series food poisoning. It having two form: emetic form of food poisoning, diarrheal form of food poisoning. Then investigation of food poisoning, how to prevent and control. So cook and eat food same day immediately is the golden rules. Thanks for watching.